Long ago, in the powerful land of Egypt, there lived a people called the Israelites. They had once been honored guests in the land during the time of Joseph. But generations passed. A new Pharaoh came to power, one who did not remember Joseph. And fear began to grow. The Israelites were multiplying. Pharaoh worried they would become too strong. So instead of friendship, he chose control. Instead of kindness, he chose cruelty. He forced them into slavery. Men and women make bricks under the hot sun, and day after day, they worked under harsh masters. They built cities. They carried heavy loads. They cried out in exhaustion. And then Pharaoh made a terrible decree: every Hebrew baby boy was to be killed. But even in dark times, hope can be born. One brave mother placed her baby in a basket and set him gently among the reeds of the Nile. Pharaoh's own daughter found him. She had compassion on the crying child. She named him Moses. He grew up in Pharaoh's palace, educated, privileged, powerful. But Moses never forgot who he truly was. One day, he saw an Egyptian beating an Israelite slave. Anger burned in his heart. He intervened. But when Pharaoh found out, Moses had to flee for his life. He ran into the wilderness. From prince to shepherd. After days of wandering, Moses finally reaches Midian, a quiet desert oasis with palm trees and a small stone well. Moses relaxes onto a rock near the well, exhausted and thirsty. His clothes are dusty and worn from the journey. Several Midianite women, including Zipporah, arrive at the well with clay jars to draw water for their sheep. Some rough shepherd men try to push them away and take the water first. Moses stands up and steps forward courageously, driving the men away and helping the women draw water. Zipporah looks at Moses with curiosity and gratitude. Moses began a new life in Midian. He learned the quiet work of caring for sheep in the wilderness. And during this time, Moses married Zipporah. Together they started a family, and their son was named Gershom, which means I have become a foreigner in a foreign land. 40 quiet years passed. Until one ordinary day became unforgettable. A bush was on fire, but it wasn't burning up. And from that fire, God called his name. Moses. God had heard the cries of his people. He had seen their suffering. And he was sending Moses back to Egypt, not as a prince, but as a deliverer. Moses was afraid. Who am I to do this? But God gave him a promise. I will be with you. Moses returned to Egypt with his brother Aaron. They stood before Pharaoh, ruler of the most powerful empire of the time. Moses spoke clearly. Let my people go. Pharaoh laughed. A silence fell across the throne room. Pharaoh leaned forward. His eyes burned with pride. Who is the Lord, he said coldly, that I should obey him? I will not let Israel go. But Moses did not turn away. For the God who spoke from the burning bush had given him a promise. I will be with you. And the battle between a king and the power of God had just begun. And so began a dramatic confrontation unlike anything Egypt had ever seen. The throne room of Egypt grew tense. Pharaoh sat unmoved on his golden throne, his court watching with cold amusement. Moses stood before him, steady but silent. Then Aaron stepped forward. Pharaoh's voice echoed across the hall. If your God is real, show me a miracle. Then Moses nodded. Aaron lifted the shepherd's staff in his hands. a simple piece of wood carried through the wilderness. But this moment was no longer ordinary. With a single motion, Aaron threw the staff to the ground. The wood struck the marble floor, and suddenly it twisted before the eyes of the Egyptian court. The staff became a living serpent. Gasps filled the hall. The creature coiled across the palace floor, its scales catching the torchlight. But Pharaoh did not tremble. With a wave of his hand, he called forward his magicians. They stepped into the circle, whispering dark incantations. One by one, their staffs struck the ground. And before the court of Egypt, their staffs also became serpents. The room erupted in murmurs. Pharaoh leaned back in triumph. But then, something changed. Aaron's serpent turned. Slowly, deliberately, and before anyone could stop it, it struck. One by one, the serpent of God swallowed the serpents of Egypt. The palace fell silent. Aaron bent down and lifted the serpent by its tail. In his hand, it was once again a staff. Yet even after seeing the power of God, Pharaoh's heart remained hard, and the plagues of Egypt were about to begin. The Nile turned to blood. Frogs filled the land. Gnats and flies swarmed. Livestock died. Boils covered skin. Hail destroyed crops. Locusts devoured what remained. Darkness covered the land for 3 days. Each time, Pharaoh hardened his heart. Each time, he said no. Until the final plague. Every Egyptian firstborn would die. But God gave the Israelites instructions for protection. They were to mark their doorposts with the blood of a lamb. That night, sorrow filled Egypt. And finally, Pharaoh broke. Go, he said. Leave. After 400 years of slavery, the Israelites were free. Men, women, children walking into the unknown. But freedom is not always simple. Soon Pharaoh regretted his decision. His pride returned. He gathered his army, chariots, horses, soldiers, and chased after the Israelites. The Israelites reached the edge of the Red Sea. Mountains beside them. Sea before them. Egyptian army behind them. They were trapped. Panic spread quickly. Why did you bring us here to die? They cried to Moses. Fear makes us forget miracles. But Moses stood firm.
Do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid.
Stand still and see the salvation
Stand
of the
still
Lord.
and see the salvation of the Lord. God told Moses to raise his staff over the sea. And all night long, a strong east wind blew. The waters began to move. They rose. They parted. A path formed right through the middle of the sea. Dry ground. The Israelites walked through. Step by step. Families holding hands. Children staring in wonder at walls of water towering above them. Not mud. Dry ground. They crossed safely to the other side. Then the Egyptian army followed. But when the last Israelite reached safety, God told Moses to stretch out his hand again. The waters rushed back. The sea returned to its place. And the army that once enslaved them was gone. Silence fell over the shore. Then relief. Then joy. They were truly free. On that shore, they worshipped. They sang. They celebrated the God who delivered them. Miriam, Moses' sister, led the women in song and dance. The Lord is my strength and my song.
The Lord is my strength and my song. The Lord is my strength and my song.